Okay, guys, we are officially going to get the Battle of Alberta that everybody's been waiting for 30 years.
Pew pew.
Early 90s is the last time this happened. Now, we talked a little bit about it with You Can Bet That. Team with insane offense or a team that has potential to play insane offense, but that can also grind you down. I feel like Calgary's got to be the favorite. I'll say this before we talk about it. McDavid was on the ice for 20 of Edmonton's 26 goals in the first round.
Man.
Sports Interaction is your home for NHL playoff betting. You know, for those teams that you cheer for. Right, Steve?
I bet on the Leafs to win by 2. You don't always win. It's not guaranteed.
I bet on the Leafs to win as well in the seat while we were at the game. I bet on the Leafs plus 1.5 and my bet hit.
In game.
Unfortunately, on Sports Interaction, I won money on the Leafs losing.
Wait. You bet against them?
No. I bet them to win, but I got plus 1.5 goals.
Oh.
So I live bet. I love live betting the Leafs when they're down, and I did it when they're down 1-0 on sportsinteraction.com, and I won, but the Leafs lost.
So Sports Interaction, you already know, it's Canada's sports book with the most competitive odds. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, easy to play, easy to cash out. Kind of like what Jesse did. Join now and see all the sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN, which is what Jesse did mid-game. 19 plus. Please play responsibly.
You talk about a dominant performance.
Crazy.
How about, could you have imagined a couple months ago, we're talking about Mike Smith getting a shutout in Game 7?
Oh, man, no.
Man.
I mean, Jay Woodcroft has changed the way this team is played completely.
100%. And he's really embraced the best parts of it, right? Like, this is it's an offensive juggernaut that is no longer a liability on defense. They make their goalie's life a little easier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's able to, I talked about Steven Stamkos talking about Guy Boucher years and years ago, and he always said that Guy Boucher wanted you to work on your strengths 80% of the time, and your weaknesses 20. You know, so, and I mean, Guy Boucher isn't in the league right now, so who knows? Maybe that wasn't the greatest advice, but
seems to have worked out for Stamkos.
Well, he helped turn Steven Stamkos into a 60-goal scorer, right? He helped turn him into one of the
defensive coach with a 60-goal score. Imagine that.
He helped turn him into one of the greatest offensive weapons of his generation. First overall pick. Maybe that was always going to happen, but he allowed him to flourish. Jay Woodcroft has helped this Oilers group that has always had an easy time scoring goals in the regular season, score goals in the playoffs. And they've been able to weather the storm. They've been able to hold the fort. They've survived to Game 6 without Darnell Nurse. Listen, I said it heading into the playoffs. There were two teams that weren't getting the respect that they deserved, but were having really good ends to the season. And they were the Washington Capitals, who I think played the Panthers a lot tighter than we all thought.
Certainly.
And the Edmonton Oilers, who are now in the second round.
Dallas's defense got them to the Stanley Cup a couple years ago. They played Calgary really, really hard. Jake Ottinger with an unbelievable goaltending performance. I think
star.
Halfway through the second period, I believe the shot attempts were 60-20.
I saw just before Gaudreau scores, because they had the graphic on the screen, I think the shot attempts were 125-58. It was a one-man game. It was Jake Ottinger and a bunch of dudes wearing green.
But that's the thing, is Dallas can do that with a guy like Jake Ottinger and some of the. I mean, I think maybe they get a little too much credit for team defense.
7?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Maybe they get a little too much credit for team defense because they did allow a ton of shots. Jake Ottinger just stood on his head.
Adam, Jesse pulled this up. I did not know this. So this is Game 7. 7-game series. Jamie Benn is first to the series. Tyler Toffoli is first to the series. Vlad Nemestikov is first to the series. Matthew Tkachuk is first to the series. And Johnny Gaudreau ends it with his mighty second.
There was no scoring.
How many people scored their... How many Game 7s in NHL history have ever had 4 players score their first goal of the series? Can't be many.
No.
Like, that might be a record.
It's a very obscure record.
It'd be a very obscure record, but we're dorks. So embrace it. Embrace it, baby. Man, Mike Smith is going to have to be some kind of special if Jake Ottinger is the standard that the Flames are used to. Look at the final shots. 67-28.
And it was OT, and it was an amazing shot by Gaudreau. Amazing.
It's incredible that
nothing to
Dallas
shoot
was
at.
able to push it this far with the way they played. Because they truly generated so little offense, but every time they had just a little tiny bit of a window, they'd score. You know, and then the rest of it's just, hey, we're gonna block shots and we're gonna play in the neutral zone, and that's it.
What does that do to the confidence of the goalies in the Battle of Alberta? Because if you're Mike Smith, you're like, I just beat Jonathan Quick. I was the better goalie, and he was.
Mhm.
If you're Jake Markstrom, you're like, fuck, I was just out-dueled 7 games out of 7.
And we still won.
And we still won.
Yeah.
Markstrom we still won, but it wasn't
Markstrom was
because of
good.
me.
Markstrom was very good.
He was very good.
You should be very happy with his performance.
Yes, I'm not saying he was bad, but it's just...
He sucks ass. Trade him.
It's
He
got to be
sucks.
difficult looking when your team is getting 2.5 times the shots that you're facing, and they can't crack them.
Mm-hmm.
They just couldn't crack them. And
Okay,
interesting.
let me ask you guys this. Okay, how is this series wide open? Because it feels like it's about to be. I feel like Calgary's sick of playing like a grinding defensive style, not because they don't do that, but because it's like they're tired of going up against that. I feel like with the freedom that Edmonton is going to give them, Edmonton's defense is just not the same as Dallas's. We can all say that. I feel like they're going to enjoy that first couple of games where they're like, we can skate again. We can breathe a little.
You ever taken a dog to the park?
That's what it's going to feel like. The off leash.
I tell you what mine does. I take Iggy off his leash. He takes a few strides forward. He looks back at me, and then he goes. So I think maybe it'll be a bit of a feeling out for the first few minutes of the series, and then Matthew Tkachuk's going to look back at Daryl Sutter, and Daryl Sutter's going to stare back at him blandly,
and then he's going to know.
And then, and then they just fly.
Who do you guys give the edge to in this series?
Calgary better not let Edmonton play like that. If Calgary is allowing Edmonton to get scoring chances off the rush and play a really open style of hockey, they're going to really struggle to win the series.
But it's McDavid.
Yeah,
how do you not let him?
You got to try and contain him, right?
You know, I think Calgary overall is a better team than the LA Kings, but they don't have a 1-2 of Kopitar Danault up the middle, so they got to find.
And McDavid still did that.
Yeah. They got to find another way to shut him down.
The shocking thing about Edmonton too is the goal scoring they're getting from everybody else.
Right.
Like it's their season was saved on goals by Tyson Barrie and Cody Ceci. Like that.
Cody Ceci, who is still in the Stanley Cup playoffs, while the Penguins and Leafs are not.
That's what's
By the way.
been driving these wins
And
for Edmonton.
didn't CC score the game winner?
He
Sure
did.
Game 7 game winner. And
Cody Ceci scored a Game 7 winner while the Penguins and Leafs both fall. Please kill me.
then for as many questions as we had about Evander Kane, he had a fantastic series. It was terrific throughout it. Came up huge in Game 6. So
I don't think the question was ever, will he be good at hockey?
it's will he be able to keep playing hockey? But they've showed up, and their only struggles are on defensively, and they've been able to clamp down with Mike Smith in the end of the series there, and they're going to get their offense. So I don't know. It's going to be real tough for Calgary to stop Edmonton.
You know how I know I'm not as hurt about the Leafs this year? I felt good about the Game 7, as bad as it feels, and I don't want to say that. I'm not embarrassed or I'm not upset. I want to throw that out there. But I'm going to be able to watch the second round without it hurting this year, and I like that. This Calgary Edmonton series you literally, if anybody tells you they know how this series is going to go, they're wrong.
Battle of Alberta,
You have no
Battle
idea.
of Florida.
Well, and that's what I
Lucky
want to get
us.
to next. So that series, Tampa and Florida, it was nasty in the first round last year.
It was nasty in the preseason this year. The Carter Verhaeghe Bowl.
So,
I don't know.
by the way, James Myrtle tweeted that, the Leafs have to be upset about trading Carter Verhaeghe. I'm like, he must be kidding.
Oh yeah, that's
Lou
trolling.
Lamoriello, like he's trolling. You must be kidding, James.
I when they made that 5-for-1 trade, I was like, okay, this is the one guy out of this deal that you may regret.
Maybe.
And that was 2015, I think they made that trade.
Man, we can't be regretting trades from 2015.
No, I know.
We can't be like that.
He still took a while.
Yeah.
Right? He still took a while.
He didn't break until last year. Were the Leafs going to be like they weren't patient with Mason Marchment, and he's playing regularly.
And the minor league team was stacked a few years ago. So like
Who knows how that goes?
it might not have even been it might not have been an environment that would have allowed him to flourish.
Agreed. Now, when you watch the Washington series with Florida, and then you watch the Tampa-Toronto series, the Panthers are chaotic, and it's worked out for them all year, right? They've high-flying. I mean, we saw the Leafs-Florida game a few months ago, and it was just crazy.
Great ability to come back.
Yes, but they can't do that against Tampa.
No.
Tampa will steamroll them.
Yeah.
If Florida plays chaotic hockey against Tampa, we had tiny little bits of chaos, the odd Kerfoot bad pass, the Justin Hall thing that we pointed out earlier in the... Florida does that all the time.
Yeah, no, they're far less perfect than even I thought. I do think it's funny that they had 2 overtime games in one.
What do you mean?
Well, there's no 3-on-3, but there's 5-on-5, and it suited them just fine. But their starts, their first periods, I mean, if it's a best of 7 only including the first periods, the Capitals won that series. You know, but for me, this is a relatively easy win for Tampa if Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov are healthy, which they're super not. So that gives Florida a huge advantage over Tampa. I don't know how, if they don't have Braden Point or Nikita Kucherov. Like Kucherov, I don't even know if he's at 50% right now. Braden Point certainly not. Boy, it's going to be real tough to weather that storm for Tampa.
I got something I wanted to bring up to you guys about this Florida team that happened in the Washington series that I don't think is going. Nobody's making a big deal about it. The Florida Panthers, what's their power play percentage?
It's 0, isn't it?
0%. The Florida Panthers didn't convert one power play opportunity in that entire series.
That's what, and they still won.
So either they find a way to turn back on their offense, which it struggled to do, and then it did it in an instant whenever they were down and they needed something real quick. But either it turns into this super magical run where their season was on the line with an empty net and also down by 3 goals, and they somehow blow out Tampa, or they can just continue to not have the offensive firepower that we've seen throughout the regular season.
Right.
It's one of those 2 outcomes.
What do we always call the Stanley Cup playoffs, though? It's a war of attrition. And those speed plays, those bursts of offense, those are going to be harder and harder to come by as these playoffs go and as this series goes. I don't know which way the series goes, man.
You know, while you say that, you guys are talking about that, it kind of triggered something in me, and I hate to make it all about the Leafs, but it fucking is.
Let's do it. The one based on my mentions, it's absolutely all about the Leafs all the time.
Always.
Either you're cheering for them or against them. We don't say rent-free, it's implied.
Yeah. So the one thing I'll say about the Toronto team that I hope they get a little more of is a little more of that we can wear you down. I don't think anyone has ever said about the Toronto Maple Leafs. No one's ever said like, oh, that's a team that'll really grind you down. And I'm not talking about like
not for 9 years.
Throwing Kyle Clifford hits or whatever it was. I'm talking about just fuck. I don't want to play these guys.
Yeah,
fuck.
No,
like when you see them come up on the calendar, you go fuck. Like, do you think the Flames like playing Dallas? No, they fucking hated it.
No, well, and kudos to Dallas because that's most teams looking at the Flames.
True. Yeah.
Right.
True.
The 2012 and 2014 Kings teams that won grinded your bones to make their bread. Like that was just and
Tampa does
grinding team.
Tampa's a good mix of we can score a pile if we want to, but we can also shut you down. And that's where I think you can mitigate the losses of, or at least the skill losses of Kucherov and Point, because you have Nick Paul scoring 2 goals in Game 7. You've got the opportunity for guys to come in. You got Hagel, who did have over 20 goals, and yes, he only had 3 in his first 15 games in Tampa. But so fucking what, everyone? He was playing in Chicago. Somebody had to score.
Leafs took a chunk out of him too.
They did. They did.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that the depth is there to shut that down. I'd be curious about that series. I'm taking Tampa all the way in that one. I could be crazy, but I don't know. I just don't think that. How does Florida play that kind of game and win?
For the sake of Leaf fans, I'd like Tampa to win. I feel like it'd be
make us
easier.
feel better.
It'd be easier on Leafs fans.
Would it? I don't know.